What is up, Bears fans? Welcome back to the Bears Huddle podcast, your UK take on all things Chicago Bears, guys. We're going to talk about a hypothetical in this video. Should the Bears make that big splash? Should they trade for Micah Parsons, the Dallas Cowboys edge rusher, the guy who is a very talented player, but a very guy with a very big mouth. Look, there's been talk all off-season about the Bears moving for another edge rusher. Now, obviously, we acquired Dayo Adeyingbo from the Colts. We've also got, obviously, Montez Sweat recently, obviously, as well. Added Passanio as well to the team, the former Saints man who worked for Dennis Allen. But there's still a lot of talk that there needs to be more threat out there, more edge rushing power and edge rushing threat. Passanio can also play as a defensive tackle, and in fact is listed on the way too early depth chart on ESPN as a defensive tackle. But if you look at the edge rusher players that are currently on the roster, obviously Montez Sweat and Dayo Adeyingbo obviously lead the way as rusher 1 and 2, backed up by Austin Booker and Dominique Robinson, the UDFA Xavier Carlton, Daniel Hardy. You've also got Cremoa, and like I said, Passanio can play there as well. But many people feel that the Bears are still missing that big splash to add to Montez Sweat. Sweat obviously came in when he was signed with a whole lot of expectations, and we can argue about whether or not he's kind of lived up to those expectations, but I'm not going to do this on this video. That's not the place to do that. Now, Micah Parsons caused a sensation today by asking for that trade away from the Dallas Cowboys, which has automatically put a number of teams on alert for the player. One of the teams that are very thought to be highly interested and seem to be leading the way are the Buffalo Bills, as they seek to build a team to challenge and overtake the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC. What has Micah Parsons been saying, Mr. Big Mouth? This is what, well, that's Ryan Pauls, isn't it? This is what he has been saying. I no longer want to be here, which obviously quite makes it clear that he doesn't want to stay in Dallas with the Cowboys. And hey, who can blame him? I wouldn't want to live in Dallas, and I wouldn't want to be a Cowboy. I no longer want to be held to closed door negotiations without my agent present. Now, this dates back to a story that went round that Micah Parsons held talks with Jerry Jones without his agent present, and that as far as Jerry Jones was concerned, they were the start of negotiations between himself and Micah Parsons, with the agent not involved, something that Parsons' agent was not happy about, and Parsons is now not happy about. I no longer want shots taken at me for getting injured while laying on the line for the organisation, our fans and my teammates. So he very much feels that he hasn't had the respect that he deserves, that times when he's been out injured, times when he's been missing, he's kind of got a lot of unfair criticism from people within the team organisation, and he doesn't like it. I've made a tough decision. I no longer want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. My trade request has been submitted to Stephen Jones personally. So he's obviously handed in this trade request. It is quite clear that he wants to leave. Now, look, this all could equally be a power move by Micah Parsons as he enters the last year of his rookie deal. It may be that he's looking to get his agent involved. He's looking for a big, huge payday, very much along the Myles Garrett way of doing things. If we think back to the start of the offseason, Myles Garrett asks for a trade from the Cleveland Browns. Everyone is rumouring interest, even the Bears rumoured interest in Myles Garrett. And guess what? Nothing happens. Garrett signs a new deal with the Browns for massive money. Lacking ambition, guys, because he's never going to win a Super Bowl in Cleveland, is he? Some could argue that Parsons is never going to win a Super Bowl in Dallas either, not with Choke Prescott as their quarterback. But a lot of people now are calling on Ryan Pauls to make that phone call, to ask that question as to what the price would be for Micah Parsons. Now, people have kind of rumoured a player plus picks exchange could well be on the cards. Obviously, the Bears have a number of players they could offer. Players' names that I've seen mentioned as possible players to trade away along with first round picks for Micah Parsons are people like Tremaine Edmonds. I've seen his name linked to Tyreek Stevenson, Cole Kmet, to name but three. I mean, Tremaine Edmonds, I think, is a strong doubt that he would ever be involved in any sort of deal like this, given the comments that were made by Dennis Allen this week about how highly he rates Tremaine Edmonds and how much of a part he believes Tremaine has to play this season for his defense. But going out and getting someone like Micah Parsons is a real game changer, isn't it? This is a top class edge rusher. This is a difference maker. This is an impact player. This is a player who, really is a generational talent who comes to your franchise and makes a huge difference. Now, does signing him turn the Bears from being competitive to being a contender? That's open for debate, given the fact, obviously, there's still issues with the running back room. There's still a few question marks over Caleb Williams this season. There's still a few question marks over how Ben Johnson's new style beds in. There's a few, question marks over the the cornerback position opposite to Jalen Johnson, if Jalen Johnson's back fit for week 1. So there's a number of questions to be answered. Now, Parsons obviously, is entering the final year. So any trade for Parsons, I think, would have to come with a contract extension, to extend him beyond this season. So it's not a rental. That's going to cost big money, especially if you look around the NFL, the money that's been paid to Myles Garrett, to TJ Watt, for example. It's substantial sums of money that have traded hand. Now, if we look at Micah Parsons' time in Dallas, he has consistently, obviously, been available pre-last season. Last season was a time where he missed 4 games through injury, but still contributed to the effectiveness of the Cowboys. And he's always had double-digit sack seasons. In his rookie season in 2021, he had 13 sacks, 13 and a half sacks in 2022, 14 sacks in 2023, and 12 sacks in 2024, having played 4 less games. So, heaven knows what he would have got had he played those 4 other games. Also, forced fumble numbers are good, 3, 1, and 2. Adding to that as well, we've got passes defensed in there. You've also got, a situation where he makes a number of tackles, run defense, pass defense, also very, very good indeed. This is a top level talent. This is a player who is exceptionally highly rated by the Cowboys and by their fans, and somebody, like I said, who is straight away a difference maker to your franchise, someone who comes in and makes a big difference. Now, look, there's nothing, to be honest with you, that kind of puts you off this deal. There's nothing that hurts with kind of going in there and maybe asking the question, what would the cost be? How much would it cost in terms of draft capital to get Micah Parsons to Chicago? Now, he offers a whole lot of skill level. He's elite athleticism. He's versatile. He can play on the line of scrimmage, off the line of scrimmage. He is very, very valuable. He can work in a number of defensive positions, work in a number of defensive sets and defensive schemes. He's got great pass rush ability. He's exceptional at run defense. His pass coverage is good as well. So he is a very good player indeed, a very, very talented player. But like I said, the concern is, what is the cost? Now, many people are saying that it could cost at least 2 first-round picks to get Parsons out of Dallas this season. Now, it's whether the Bears are willing to part with a minimum of 2 first-rounders and possibly a player or another pick some point else, or even some sort of pick exchange. Now, if it is that the Bears are truly looking to build through the draft, they may not be wanting to go spend a shit ton of money on Parsons, give up a shit ton of draft capital, and leave themselves, in a kind of LA Rams F them picks kind of situation. So, look, I think it's very much open for debate on that one, which direction Poles, Johnson, and Dennis Allen want to go in this season. I think, if you see the Bears trade for someone like Micah Parsons, that is an intention that they are really in win now mode, which has already been talked about. I think there's a lot of fans who are very excited about this, who would love to see Micah Parsons in Chicago. Realistically, do I think it's an option? Look, you've got to ask the question. Of course you have. Do I think it'll happen? I don't. Can't see the Bears giving up the capital that you would have to give up to get Micah Parsons, given what we've heard from Ryan Poles, given what we've heard from Ben Johnson in terms of building through the draft, building long term. This, I think, it would be a short-term move. It would also, like I said, cost a lot of money now, given the fact that, you know, you're going to be looking at having to pay this guy a substantial sum of money. If you look at what Myles Garrett's got, TJ Watt has got in terms of contract now, obviously TJ Watt just signed a new deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. His deal is 108 million in guarantees. It runs all the way through 2027. In 2025, we'll have a $23.3 million cap hit. What will count 42 million against the cap in 2026 and 2027. So you've got to kind of think that, looking at it, you know, that is what Micah Parsons will be looking at, somewhere up and around or similar to, or even more than that amount of money. Look, you know, you look at the salary cap situation as it is at the moment, and the Bears would have to make some more cuts, do some more restructures if they're going to make some more space. You know, they could restructure the deal so that he's only paid a certain salary this year with signing on fees and bonuses and so on and so forth. There is raise around that salary cap, and then long term, the money hits in the next few years of the contract. Ryan Poles, as he's shown, is exceptionally good at negotiating these extensions. But look, I personally don't see this as an option. I don't think it'll happen. Would I go for it if the price was reasonable? Yes, if the price was reasonable. Of course you would. This is a top-class talent. This is a difference maker on your team. Guys, I'd love to know your thoughts. Would you trade for Micah Parsons, and what is an acceptable price for the player? Guys, let me know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed the Bears Huddle podcast, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel for absolutely free. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Let's bear down.